Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast with Jesse, Heater, and MJ. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing Netflix's 11th film, the 2016 drama XOXO, directed by Christopher Louie, starring Sarah Hyland, Graham Phillips, Brett DeBuono, and Hayley Kiyoko. Welcome, boys.
Thanks, Jesse. Good to be here.
Hello, mates.
Whoa, XOXO, what a title for a film. You'd think this movie is about kisses and hugs.
Yeah,
Well, I literally had no idea.
maybe.
No idea what it was about when we first went into it.
Me either. All I knew that
Different.
it had Sarah Hyland in it, and I was like,
Can't be great.
no, that's a bit rough. She is quite a good-looking lady.
Okay.
Cheers.
She is, and I know that she has a restraining order against someone in Australia. So that's that's all I know about her, really.
Please elaborate.
Why do you know
don't
that?
All I know
Why do you
is
even know that?
because she came out to Australia, and there was this dude who full stalked her, and she got a restraining order against
Oh,
him.
so just a random dude.
Random dude, yeah.
Ah, so there's no
Random-
story.
No,
Was
no
it-
story. No
was
story.
it you?
Yeah.
It was not me. There was a high chance it could have been me, but definitely.
You seem to know a lot about this restraining order.
Well, she looks real young, but she's older than all of us. I
She's
think.
very young,
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
she's older than all of us.
You're showing our age.
Yeah. Oh, whoops. Spoiler.
We're not that old.
No, we're not that old. We're not.
old. No, we're pretty
We're
old.
young.
We're young at heart.
We're young at heart. Good. All right. So
get
let's
it.
go around the table. Get into it. 30-second summary of the film. Fast Flix. Bring it on, MJ. Hit us up.
Fast Flix for XOXO. When IMDb classified this film as music as the genre, I was initially confused, but upon watching, I don't know if I could have categorized it better myself. XOXO is a tribute to the music festival scene, particularly the EDM scene, which is fine, but it lacks any real substance to appeal to those outside of this world.
I don't think music is a genre. So
Nah, when I first read it, I'm like, is this
I
an
think-
hour and a half film clip?
Like
Like,
the drama, doesn't it? On
so
on
the
Netflix?
second
Yeah.
one, it says drama, music.
Okay,
they're,
yeah.
they're the two categories.
I feel like
Music's not really a category.
But when you watch this film, you're like,
music cool.
because someone said,
about music.
hey, can you watch this film and categorize it for IMDb? But yeah, no worries. And they watch it and they go, geez, I got no idea what this category
It's all about
is.
music.
But is it music? No, sorry, I hate it. Okay.
That's a whole big debate for another day.
I did have to Google EDM. I thought I knew. It is what I thought it was.
There's this film. It's a real
Can you say
indie.
because I assume I know what it is, but just to be
It's
for
electronic dance. music.
Okay, yeah, so I thought it was.
There's this film called EDM, which I watched a couple of years ago. Bit of an art housey film.
Sounds like it.
Does a lot better job in this film, but yeah. Go, Heater, give us a.
All right, my Fast Flick. So, follows the story of a young bedroom DJ as he embarks on his first live performance at a festival, his best friend and manager trying to be there for him, and several other strangers who become entwined in the story as they each search for something more.
Does his friend actually try to be there for him?
Well, he does. He's got a good heart. He tries his best. He's just an idiot.
Tariq.
Tariq.
All right. So, a bunch of people get ready to go to a dance festival, including an up-and-coming YouTube star who has his first chance of playing to his fans. Will he get the crowd dancing, or will his career come to an abrupt end?
Just look at you asking questions.
A couple of after.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you've changed your tact.
I've got to change this up to try and make these films sound interesting.
So, Beast of the Nation, you spoke for half an hour
of the
detailing
summary
your
of
plot.
the film, and now you're asking questions in the summary in the Fast Flick summary.
It's so hard to summarize a film when nothing happens.
Yes, it was hard on this one.
Could have said that.
Yeah.
What Fast Flicks? Nothing happens
really
next.
happens.
Yeah. People go to a music festival.
All right. So, what did we learn about this one?
Christopher Louie, the director, first and only film. He'd done a bit of work as an animator. He wrote a film clip and did some music videos and whatnot. But he is very green in the movie directing side of things. But he has a big history as a DJ. And this was a tribute to his history in and around the South California rave scene. And upon reading a lot about him and discovering more about him, this film made a lot more sense. He went to his first show when he was 14. He started DJing at 18, playing pretty hardcore gigs. And he basically based the film around that feeling of community within the rave scene and what he calls this collective effervescence. So it's almost... the film itself, where you say nothing really happens, but I think that's almost the point.
What, nothing's happened in this guy's life, or
No, it's that scene itself he's trying to paint.
Yeah.
While I'm on this point,
Festival scene.
I've screenshotted it. You can see here. Screenshotted a review on IMDb.
oh, good. Go for it. Is this
10 stars?
Oh,
10 stars.
Don't read it
From Alexis H. or Alex S.
Pseudonym for the
It
director.
changed my life literally is the headline.
God.
And I'll paraphrase here, but I first put on this film because I thought it was one of those films which had a ton of sex in it. well, boy, I was wrong, haha. As I continued to watch this film, I was sucked into it, getting to know the characters, really feeling like a part of this movie. The flashing lights, the amazing music really got me going for this movie. I was in a trance, and no matter what I did, I had to keep watching. However, what attracted me most of all and forced me to stay was the absolutely huge amount of passion and love for the excellent EDM music. It was all there and real as the day itself. I could even see it in the actors that the music was different, something special. I don't want to drone. Sorry, I don't want to drone on, but the comma's in the wrong spot. But I could for hours. But watching this movie gave me a new and positive outlook on life, and I could watch it 1,000,000 times over if I could. If there was one last night on Earth, all I'd ever want to watch is XOXO because it makes me feel ... happy again.
Where was the paraphrasing there?
Sorry, I must admit I got into the review too much.
That was interesting.
But this to me makes it. There's a scene that we're not into, we're not familiar with, and
there's a specific audience that would be able to relate to this film.
No. This is a 10-year-old who has just been given access to the internet and given a keyboard. Like that is not a review. That is like
changed his life. Literally.
This guy has no life. I'm putting it out there. I get, like, I don't mind a bit of Skrillex. I have a very wide range of musical tastes. So I don't mind a bit of the music in this film. But music in a film doesn't make a film.
Yeah, I know. But you think of it as a tribute to people attending these sorts of things. And almost, there's nothing on the line. I never felt any stake in this film at all. I know it was all about getting... Is his name Ethan?
Yeah, Ethan.
Ethan
to his set.
To the show, the set on time. But I never felt that stake.
But he got to the set on time fine. He had a few things, but then there was another hour to go.
They had the clock up there, like, got to get to the set. And then he gets there and there's 2 hours to go. I'm like, okay, I thought it would be like 3 seconds to go and he'd just make it. But I didn't feel the stake at all. But as I said, I think it's almost just like maybe people who go to a lot of raves and EDM festivals, they look at each character and go, oh, that's me, me. Exactly. Oh, I've done that, I did this.
I'm sure if this is the thing you do every week, this is something you can relate to and enjoy. It's just not something that us guys do and can't really relate to that too much, I don't think.
You're right though, Jesse. I was sitting there thinking, how is this a film? What am I actually watching? There's nothing really happening.
Maybe it's like, maybe I'm getting old. That could be the big issue, but...
Getting pretty old.
I do agree. But one of my favourite Australian films of all time, it's a film called One Perfect Day. And it came out when I was a teenager. It's about the dance scene in Melbourne, in Australia. Had a great song called, the title of the song was called One Perfect Day. Lydia Denker, I remember all off the top of my head, I remember all of this. And that was like my first essay I wrote at uni on film was about One Perfect Day. And it was a similar theme. It was all about the drug scene in music festivals, blah, blah, blah. But to me, like, this is a film from 2016 and it felt dated already.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. It felt like it's 2 years old and it felt
right.
old. 3 years old and it felt
feel
old.
pretty old.
I got a quote for you now. This is from Christopher Louie, the director. At first, I felt an obligation to be as authentic as possible and convey my experiences. So note that he was on the music festival scene earlier, a while ago. Yeah. But yes, my movie depicts drugs, and yes, it depicts kids having a fucking good time on drugs because I did when I was young and I came out of it alive. But that said, it's not an irresponsible, debaucherous party drug movie like Project X or something. I didn't like him trying to put Project X down. But,
he's trying to. But don't try to sledge other movies.
I don't think he's trying to say that. I don't think you can think of this movie as anything else but this is what it's like.
Yeah,
and it's go out there and enjoy it.
But that almost really annoyed me because here's a film. You've got this guy who's like, yeah, I've come out and I'm alive on the drug side of things. There was one mention of like an anti-drug thing. Like they did, the Sarah Hyland character was sitting there on the hill and she's like, that DARE campaign, which is like a say no drugs to kids. That was the only anti-drug thing. Otherwise it was like they're on the bus, they're packing pills to go on this festival. They're doing pills. The guy,
comes out with his bag and like, this one for this time and this one for this time.
From his arms.
Like if you want to reach out to the youth audience of today who go to these dance festivals and you want to actually say something, you say, okay, at the end, let's say how this drug scene's not good or how these drugs are, not a good thing for your life.
I don't think he's trying to say that, though.
Yeah. I know he wasn't trying to say that, but this is a perfect opportunity for him to have. If do you want this film to do well and to be accepted by people, you need to put something in there that says that that's not a good thing to be doing.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks it isn't a good thing to be doing.
Yeah,
I think that's his
I think
point.
he's kind of.
I agree. It doesn't resonate with me.
Then what?
Yeah.
No. Then what the hell's why do you make a film about a dance scene and the drugs in the dance scene if you don't want to actually leave a lasting impression? So you want to make a film that says, okay, go out to as many dance festivals as you can and do as many drugs as you want.
Yeah,
I think there's an element of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and to me that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's what he's saying is that him and his lifestyle, that was how they had fun.
And that's irresponsible to me. Like that, as a filmmaker, that is irresponsible. Because when you make film, you want to make a film that leaves a lasting impression, that tries to make some sort of influence and make people listen to what you're saying. And to me, if you make a film that says, go do drugs, that's fine, that's rubbish.
Oh, yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I agree.
I hear what you're saying.
And I love when Jesse
Rubbish.
gets angry.
Oh, no, I'm like,
Right.
you have an opportunity and
Oh,
he didn't take it.
I absolutely agree. Like,
And I don't care if he's come out alive and he's like, oh, you go take drugs,
Yeah.
have a good time.
It doesn't set a good example for people watching this
No,
movie.
because this film is targeted at...
At the people who would be going and
Exactly.
using those drugs.
It's almost strictly targeted at those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
If you're not in that
Yeah,
scene,
I can't-
you're not going
yeah.
to enjoy this film.
You won't understand unless you go to those raves every weekend we're doing. Yeah, he's kind of trying, I guess, maybe not trying, but he's like, they're glorifying.
Yeah.
But I also, in a sense,
Taking
he's
these-
trying to
these
show the
drugs.
different perspectives and how you can enjoy these festivals
Yeah.
in different ways. And like the Sarah Hyland character doesn't even want to have a drink, let alone drugs.
But she's happy to go on a Tinder date with a guy she doesn't know and...
But how does that end?
Yeah, she fobs him off.
So
I
it's
get
not.
that.
It's not like you're saying that's a good thing. I think the whole
Yeah.
time you.
So
need-
he does have the capabilities of saying things like that.
But I think
I guess he just chose not to in terms of the drugs, because I guess he thinks
that's the scene that he's trying to. I think,
yeah.
and I think he wanted to make a really big point on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna gloss over the drug scene
Yeah.
because it's a big part
Make it
of
more
this.
realistic. Is that people use drugs when they go to raves.
Yeah, okay, we're back to where we started. Yes, we get that that's what he was trying to say.
It's not the first film to do it. Not the first film to glorify drug use though. Like,
No, but there's a different sort of, like, you glorify drug use in, like, a gangster movie or in an action movie where, you're trying to say something about people who have the troubles of getting over the addiction, whereas this one's just literally about teenagers doing drugs to have a good night.
it is still like as a non-festival goer, non-drug user myself, I've still found a lot of that really jarring. All the seeing everyone on drugs and the ease of drugs, and even just the girl who was the girl who kissed Tariq and like that sort of behaviour. I found that really confronting still.
She kissed him and he was, like, half his face for the next, like, until it was bright sunshine until it was pitch
Mate,
dark in his...
I don't know how much time passed. I didn't know what was real and what wasn't, but I think that was the point as well. But that's...
That was a funny scene, that though, Tariq. I found that very funny, and I just love the reference to the train spotting where he's going down the toilet. That was great.
I was half expecting to see the scene of like the reality of him like being stuck in a toilet and like flailing around.
That almost would have worked better.
Yeah, I must admit I thought it was coming and it didn't.
So, the one thing that I read about was on the screen they had that announcement page for him being added to that lineup, because obviously that was the start of the film. He got that call saying he's added to the lineup, and it had the last minute cancellation of Michael Brunn, which is the guy who actually made that song that the whole film's about. That the Sarah Hyland character's like, oh, I love your song. All I ever wanted.
Is that a real song?
Well, they released a soundtrack when this film came out with the songs from the film on it, including that All I Ever Wanted
And that was
song.
original at the time.
Original. I'm pretty sure it's original for this film. Cool. And then a few of the other artists listed in the lineup are real artists from the tracks from the soundtrack as well.
Okay.
So, and I thought it would have been easy to find, but literally I found one thing online that said, yes, they filmed this at a few different festivals.
Yeah,
Didn't list any actual festivals, when they were.
There was a few festivals and raves. They got access to 10 minutes of stage time to film the scene where Ethan's walking up the stairs to the main stage and getting that crowd view. Yeah, they're given 10 minutes at a live festival.
That was like the one artist. Oh, sorry. One of the two artistic things in this film was like that camera following up on the stage.
That was a good.
That was a good shot.
It was a good shot though. Did really well.
And I thought it was really interesting at the end of the film, like after the credits had gone, it goes, because apparently there's a real XOXO festival in Portland. In Oregon, and
is there really?
Well, I stayed to the end of the credits. No one obviously watched the end of the credits.
I did not.
And
I would have.
It said,
I turned off as soon as I could.
So it said at the end of the credits there was this big statement saying this film is not associated with the XOXO festival.
Okay, I didn't realise it was real.
Call it that?
Exactly. Why would you
think
call
of
it
a new
that?
name.
Yeah, come up with something new.
XXO's not even a great name for a festival.
No, because I don't get what the XOXO relates to.
Yeah.
This is another Rotten Tomato ones that really got to me because it was 71%. I'm like, absolute rubbish.
7
so
reviews.
I clicked on it and I was like, okay, so it's based on 7 reviews.
7 reviews.
I didn't even write it.
So is that 5 good, 2 bad?
And I constantly am doing this in class at school. The kids, I say, okay, we're going to watch this film. And they're like, I hold it off. I don't want to tell them what film we're watching because I know the first thing they do is they Google search and go, that's 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't want to watch it. You need to ignore Rotten Tomatoes because 7 reviews and it gets to 70%. People could review us 5 times on Apple Podcasts and we'd have a 5 out of 5.
Please do that if you are listening. It's,
I mean, we already do.
Goes a long way. There's only so much we can do.
It's just frustrating because Netflix...
I really don't like looking at Rotten Tomatoes myself.
And I can't highlight nor enough. Good. You need to watch your film.
It's fine looking at it as long as you look
after you watch it.
No, but as long as you look enough. I never look at things before I watch it. But as long as you look enough to go, hey, 71%. Why is 71%? Because there is context.
As long as you don't let it influence your thoughts, then it's fine.
Yeah, you got. Yeah. I'd watch it after, and then look at it after you've watched the film, and then look at what people have actually said.
Yeah.
So you don't reckon this was a 71% sort of film, Jesse?
71% out of what?
It's percent, so it's out of 100.
It's out of 1,000,000. 71 out of... No, it's a percent, yeah, true. Alright, so any facts, anything else that we can think of for this film? Because I'm stuck. I'm real stuck.
Nah, I didn't really... I mean...
I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. There wasn't much else more I could really find, actually. To be honest, there wasn't a lot of facts on this movie, actually, online.
No. Characters. What do we like? What do we not like about these characters? Because,
I mean, look, I didn't like this film. It was pretty rubbish. But I found myself liking a lot of the main characters, like Ethan, Crystal, and I loved Neil. He was great.
I quite like Neil.
I just kind of saw that as me, just this guy just hating this kind of music.
Until you find out that
and then
he's like super into the scene.
The character of Anders, who ran the festival, Ray and Terry, the characters a lot of them I thought seemed like good, genuine people. I actually find myself really liking these characters despite hating the movie.
Crystal, who was Sarah Hyland, had the most cliche storyline.
She did.
She played no real role in the story at all, and she didn't feel real. Like, did her friends even like her? And did she even like her friends?
But that's what she's like in Modern Family. Her character does not seem real.
Yeah.
That's the sort of actress I feel like that means she's cast perfectly because that's what she's like.
But in this film, she was meant to be like this moral compass sort of thing. You know?
I don't see, I guess, how she could have become friends with that group of friends. She was so different to them. Like, how did she become friends with these people?
She was literally this vehicle to paint a certain storyline, and it was so predictable. And I didn't care. Every time she was on the screen, I'm like, I know what's happening with you.
I think there's at the start of the film, they're in the car, that really nice car on the way, and they stop at the gas station, and she made some comment about, I really want a boyfriend. Our relationship's like melting chocolate or something, and I was like,
I don't want candy. I want chocolate or something.
Real cringe.
Really,
there's plenty of candy out there.
But that's. I guess if you're casting a character like that, then
it's a shocking character.
It was a shocking character. I really didn't like the Avillo character.
He was. I was going to swear then. I won't.
I get he's meant to be like a bad.
He's supposed to not like him,
but I just thought the guy playing him was a bit like
sleazy. He looked sleazy to me.
He looked sleazy, but I didn't think he acted sleazy.
He also didn't seem like a world class DJ.
No,
he just seemed like hey, you're a DJ. I'm a DJ in this film, am I? Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. And he just looked like
just a guy.
Yeah, just a good... Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't like him, and I wasn't supposed to like him, so that's a tick. When he got punched in the face, that was actually one of my favourite scenes.
That was great scene.
Okay, we're talking about that scene.
Gotta love Neil.
Okay.
He was great.
I really want to talk about that punch in the face scene.
All right, let's do it.
So he got punched in the face, and then he called the guy a faggot. He goes, "You punched me in the face, you're a faggot." And I was like... In a film in 2016, you can't say that.
Saying that, yeah.
Exactly. But what I really liked about the film was, I've said this before, I always watch the film with the subtitles on.
Yeah.
So in the background, there was a guy that said, when did you become such a homophobe? Like shutting him down for what he said. And I really liked that. And I thought,
that's good.
If you're going to use that language in the film and you're going to shut it down and then you address it, I thought that was really good.
And bear in mind, he's using it in the most hated character.
Yeah, exactly.
In a really... pathetic situation.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and
it's good commentary, I guess.
I feel like you don't need to use that in a film these days, but if you do and then you back it up with that, I thought that was good.
Yeah.
That they shut that down straight away on that
good.
punch. So that was good. This guy, I think this was this guy's first feature film.
It was.
Yes,
It was, yeah.
His debut.
Yeah.
Not many more?
Well, I don't know. He could probably make a good music video clip.
There'll be another. Well, he used to make music videos.
I haven't seen any of them, but I'm saying he could probably make a good one.
Death Cab for Cutie, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, I remember seeing a bit of that, yeah.
Good. Popular. Top 40. All right. Any other characters that you want to talk about?
I liked, and my favourite storyline out of, because, you know, they talk about there's 6 characters who go to a music festival and all sort of intertwine, which I didn't really feel that, but my favourite storyline was Ray and Shani, the couple who got caught in the tunnel, because they actually felt real. There's only characters who actually felt real, and I don't know if that was because they had less to do with the music scene and more about their own relationship, but I actually cared about them, and even the point where they started having that tiff down in the tunnel and he's like, you know, you're scared of a conversation, and then she didn't want to have the conversation and they're forced to have the conversation. The best thing is there's no resolution on that storyline, and that's fine, because in reality that's a really tough situation to be dealing with.
That was probably one of the highlights for me as well, was their relationship and their first scene together. They're in the bedroom together or whatever, and there was like some comment along the lines of, they're packing drugs to take to the thing, and there was like a line that was along the lines of, oh, don't worry, we're not coming back here anyway. So you knew straight away that there was this sort of friction between the two of them about where they're going with their relationship. And like you were spoken, like I really liked that slow reveal as we went on. They revealed, okay, she's going to New York when Ethan got on the bus with them, and then like you spoke about with the tunnel or in the sewer, it was like this, they were trapped. They were forced to be together, and I thought it was really good that, you know, they had that argument together, and it sort of brought them back together again. So I think that was really good.
And even at the end, like, they never really had it, because he's like, what are you scared of? He's like, we're going to break up. And they didn't say yes or no, and it felt pretty real.
Totally agree with that. Was there any other scenes that stood out for you?
I can't actually, in saying this, I actually really like the finale, just kind of the whole end sequence.
It did build nicely, didn't it?
The kind of from Neil comforting Tariq after, you know, Ethan's ruined set and telling him, you know, you can't let him go to a Villo, and is talking backstage with Ethan, kind of being that, you know, the wise guy, and telling him, you know, he reveals he's the creator. Him and Crystal are out dancing, they bump into each other. Then you've got Ethan going and telling Villo, no, to the deal, and getting angry. Neil coming in and punching a Velo. Ethan sneaking on. That whole kind of build up, and they're going to the crowd. I mean, it was cheesy and really predictable, but we haven't had a happy ending for a few films, and I'm not sure.
That's very true.
It might have just been that. It just felt like, we've got a happy ending for the first time in a while. It kind of it built up to this nice happy ending that, for a movie that I didn't like, I didn't mind. That kind of whole sequence of scene.
That ending is the whole movie. I'm like, you know what's going to happen is Ethan's going to play his set. It's going to be awesome. They're all going to come in together, and it's going to be great.
So
but I like the fact that Ethan's first set was a balls up, because I was like, oh,
that was good.
And then I kind of still knew that it was going to come good.
It's the monomyth. It's the perfect monomyth. You've got this guy on a journey, comes across this challenge, overcomes a challenge, and then, you know.
I did like the way they did that end, though.
Yeah, I agree. It was enjoyable enough, and it was predictable. We knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, it was always going to happen. It was nice and cheesy, but
I agree. It worked for me as well.
My favourite scene almost was the scene where Sarah Hyland's character, what's her name? I can't even remember her name. Crystal. Where Crystal is constantly texting the Tinder guy saying, where are you? And then, like, you see that scene where each of the characters are somewhere at the festival, and you see they intercut with the maps and the locations of each of the stages and the festival, and they're all navigating their way around. I thought that was really well done.
Which, again, I'm sure is like a tribute to what it's like being at a festival. I'm sure everyone could relate to those scenes.
Exactly. Getting lost, not sure where your friends are, and stuff like that.
Texting people, losing reception.
Where are you?
And to me, that was a good way of using, like, digital technology on screen, because we briefly spoke about it before. That countdown on the screen, that did my head in. As did the constant text on the screen, like the text messages.
I really didn't like the text messages popping up. That really annoyed me.
What would you have done otherwise?
I don't know, because, like, you got to read what they're saying anyway. But it just I don't have a solution to it.
What do the subtitles say when the text messages come up? Anyway?
Nothing. I get that that's like a way of progressing the story.
It is.
The text messages coming across, but I feel like that there's a lot of films that try and do that these days and think it's a clever way of telling the story. Like Love, Simon. I can't even think off the top of my head, but there's so many.
Didn't it fit in this situation where they're literally at a music festival, and it is all about communicating, especially when it's a Tinder sort of situation? It didn't faze me at all. It felt normal.
I don't know. It really took away from me because I just thought that, if you want to try and make this film better, then you add a bit of dialogue and you don't worry about that whole situation.
But I guess kind of like in this film in 2016, that's what people do. They text like.
I get that, but like
that in there.
Her whole relationship in the end with Ethan was like literally based off one meeting.
Yeah, it was.
Especially when.
But then she's putting all this time and effort. She's putting all this time and effort into this texting the whole film, texting. We go in this cool glow fluoro room, fob this guy off, and then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go with this guy because he's a cool DJ, and I bumped into him once.
So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, is this a social commentary on real life relationships versus digital relationships?
Yeah.
But then I'm also just like, this is so unrealistic for her character to just be kissing this guy when she was clearly not the kind of girl that's just going to go up and hook up.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, he's a little bit famous.
Yeah.
So like, is that kind of... It just annoyed me that they kissed at the end.
Yeah.
I kind of wish it had been better if, almost like at the end of
happen,
Special Correspondence, when they just sort of walk away.
Yeah, walk up kind of awkwardly.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that because there was obviously going to be a payoff
Yeah.
between those two.
Because Ethan also was that kind of awkward guy.
Yeah, he was.
as well. So it would have fitted.
Yeah.
Because he was quite an awkward guy.
I didn't believe him as a DJ at all.
No. He doesn't seem like the kind of
His
guy.
name's Graham Phillips, the actor.
Yeah.
You would have thought he was 65 years
Yeah,
old.
that's an old name.
He didn't really get the chance to shine until the back end of the movie, though, where like he finally was allowed to show a bit of aggression and a bit of angst and a bit of anger and like.
This wasn't an acting movie to shine, though, was
No,
it?
it wasn't. No.
But like talking about her and her phone, Crystal and her phone, like that scene where she's in that back room just charging that phone the whole time, and there's this montage of people coming in, vomiting, making out, all this, and then that dude who obviously plays a vital part in the end,
Anders.
Or
Or Gandalf, like he's basically just Mr. Wisdom who just
just the wise guy that comes in and gives
like,
advice when needed.
He could not come off more creepy.
Yeah, I thought that too.
I was like, massive creep.
I was really thinking he's going to try and rape her. That's what I thought in that scene.
My initial thought was they're going to end up together, and I'm just like, this age gap doesn't really work for me. I'm like, is he supposed to be?
He's in Hawaii 5.
I was thinking more dark and scary than you.
Yeah, you certainly.
I was thinking very dark in that scene. I went, oh, okay. That's why, because I thought, she checked in her friends and said, another creep's come in. I was like, oh, okay, this could get into like a dangerous situation for her.
Yeah, but I just thought
it didn't. He turned out to be a really nice guy.
Eventually I kind of got a vibe that he was going to be like this wise guy who's going to impart wisdom on everyone.
He dropped a few interesting quotes like throughout the film, which I was just like, oh, it's very cliche. I do like my quotes, but
You do.
Ethan's mum was literally in the first scene of the film.
Excellent. I'm glad this was my biggest.
Okay, what did she go? How many hits have you got? Or like something on like. I can't remember. It was like, how many hits have you got on YouTube? I'm like, as if a mum asked that to her son.
But it's her. She sings on the track
though.
Yeah.
So that's what.
And the grandma was like sitting there going.
Yeah, but she wants to know how it's going.
As if everyone's grandma wants to know how you're going on.
No, the very first thing you see is him with the file saying mum. So it's mum's voice.
Yeah.
She's singing.
Yeah, she's sung the song.
And this whole time, I'm like, this is cool. Like, he's this new up and coming DJ. The only other time he mentions her is when he says something like, "Oh, mum gave away everything."
Yeah, because she had me. She had him young. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is great. So, but nothing happened.
No,
happened with that story.
in one scene.
I really wanted more to come from that. And like, even when he's playing, like, there's like no lyrics anyway in his songs.
Yeah.
The other thing that annoyed me in that
set that up so well though.
Yeah, and then just went nowhere.
And the other thing that really annoyed me in that opening scene was you had that USB key. And that was the first shot. It went into the laptop and it was like, clearly he's like, do not lose it. Do not lose it. It's like, okay, obviously...
Make 5 of them or something.
Obviously, this is going to be
important.
a really key plot and so obvious that, you're going to need this.
He also didn't lose it. No. Like, that's the thing. I was like, someone's going to lose it. They're going to have to find it. No, you had it on.
And there were a
did
couple
well.
of shots throughout where it was like dangling off his neck. And it's like, but there
It was
was
a
no...
massive drug trip, but he still managed to hang on to it.
That was really frustrating. There are a few... I've got some more scenes that really annoyed me.
I'm going to say, there's a scene that, or not kind of a line that I love that I'm sure you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
The vacuum cleaner.
Okay.
The guy with the vacuum cleaner.
What on earth?
I don't know what you guys are doing. One guy here's got a vacuum cleaner. I don't know what he's going to clean. Just some guy off his nuts at a rave with a vacuum cleaner on his back. It was hilarious.
I think that's
How
all
was
it
that funny?
It was. Oh, I found it funny
Because then literally,
just because it's so random.
It's a little bit funny.
It was funny because it was so random.
Jesse's
You
face.
can't
Jesse's
say-
has put his head in his hands.
Jesse's look then.
he vacuumed like the guys.
Yeah, see, he came back.
There you go.
I wasn't expecting it to come back, and it did.
I just I don't it was a stupid movie. I found that quite funny, just how random it was that some guys rocked up to a rave.
I'm
with a
sure
Maybe if there were
vacuum
more
cleaner.
stupid things throughout, then it would have made sense.
You don't think
but-
there were more stupid things?
Okay. Lady, there's this one scene it cuts. There's a lady with a headset. It's like, oh my god, we dropped Steve Aoki's cake. Where's the nearest Costco?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Wow.
It's a good impression of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was stupid.
What about when they said, "Oh, this kid's on in like 1 minute"?
Yeah.
Like, why are you wrangling him now?
Yeah,
He's been there for an hour.
Yeah. Been sitting in there. You should have got him ages before. Not very good prep work by the
You got one job.
producers and setup of the festival.
Maybe you guys thought the drug tripping scenes with Tariq.
I found that funny.
Yeah, I thought you may
I
have.
found it funny.
I didn't like that.
I just thought it was completely out of it.
But I also probably because there was a couple of things where they referenced the Train Spotting, which is a movie that I really love, and so I watched that and seeing back and going, oh yeah, they're kind of referencing to that. I probably liked it because of I like Train Spotting.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, that almost went in line with he's sitting there with Avrillo's manager guy, and that brings the chicken. He's like,
Chopper.
"Oh, you like Asians?"
Oh yeah.
That was an
He's like,
awkward
"Take your
scene.
shirt off and
Give
give
me a
him a hand
job.
job." It's like, why?
That was awkward.
Why
That was
and then
awkward.
it's like this awkward silence and everyone laughs. It's like, really? Is
Yeah.
are you trying to say that maybe that's probably what happens backstage of concerts?
Yeah.
Like it was just
that
not
was
not
that
needed.
was awkward.
That really, I was like, meh.
But those girls are also they just want to make someone famous.
Yeah,
I
exactly,
think
yeah.
that was a bit of a critique on them.
Yeah,
in
on a bit of
general.
fame.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Because I loved it when they're like, "Oh, we're going to go back and meet a Villo," and then Sarah Hyland meets Anders by not being with them. So I think that was kind of good.
Well, while we're talking about that, I feel like the film, in parts, was a critique of the music industry. I feel like that,
like how Villa was going to rip off.
yeah, like
The young
yeah, he was
DJs.
trying to rip him off, rip off a
a
young
young
kid, yeah,
up-and-comer.
and it was sort of like
Yeah.
collaborations. It's always about the main person who brings on some
Yeah.
unknown and takes advantage of them almost.
And he was like straight away, yeah, give us those songs, right now, just
Give
give
them
them
now.
to me, just
Yeah.
just,
And he
just
would've
get
done
them
it
all
if he hadn't
done.
have to go on stage,
Exactly,
yeah.
yeah. Like he was just really put pressure on this guy who probably he thought he could because he's the big god of DJ right now and he's young up and coming. He'll do what I say. Yeah, give it to me now so I can take advantage of you.
Yeah, and obviously, like, this kid's a YouTuber, so it's trying to talk a little bit about how musicians these days try and get themselves seen
Yeah.
and get their way out there, but it's almost, a bit of a...
That's what he calls him.
critique.
He calls him a bedroom DJ. It's like, you'll be nothing more than a bedroom DJ.
Yep, exactly.
Which, everyone's got to start somewhere, though.
And that's how Skrillex started, was in his basement, in his DJ. Justin Bieber started by uploading things on YouTube. So,
you got to start somewhere.
yeah, so I think it is a bit like that. What did you think about friendship in this? Like, Tariq and obviously him and Ethan
yeah.
had this good friendship. And towards the
Oh,
end,
what?
it didn't really show like why Ethan ended up going back to Tariq in the end. I felt like the end. I
think it-
I think it's just the implied loyalty. Just
Yeah, I was going to say, when he
loyalty,
turned them in the first place, that felt out of character.
Yeah.
So I think he just sort of
Yeah,
wised
it's
up.
probably also more just out of frustration around
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. But in the end, you think about it, he's, obviously they've been best friends for ages. Just
Yeah.
that loyalty, you go back.
But you're
to
right,
that.
there was no point where it's like, you know
Nah.
what, I'm going to change my mind here.
Yeah.
It was barely touched on, but Tariq obviously he had this relationship with his dad, and the dad was only in it for one scene. I felt like it could have been fleshed out a bit more.
Good scene, though.
It was a good scene.
scene.
It was a good
I
scene, but
enjoyed
it was like, okay, we're gonna just basically say that they've had a migrant experience. They've worked really hard to get where they're at, and Dad's really disappointed in him giving
Yeah.
up on that because
He wants him to keep going with the
Yeah.
family business kind of thing. That's kind of like, 'cause I think he speaks about it when he's speaking to Crystal. It's really tradition that the son carries on what the father does.
yeah.
yeah. And I guess they did go back to that when they're on the hill and he's drinking that water out of that tap. But it's a bit like that could have
Wasn't fleshed out enough.
that could almost make a whole film.
It's what it seems in this movie they could have been cut out and they could have fleshed out that one a bit more.
Because you get the
add that
vibe
in.
that even if Ethan's crazy successful and he's a great manager, his dad will still be disappointed. So
yeah.
it's not like his dad's like, you made the right call, son. Well
Yeah.
done. You didn't get that vibe.
I think there was a bit of a theme of risk taking in this film as well. because Tariq, like we've spoke about, took that risk to almost just step away from his dad, and his dad was obviously disappointed. But then you've also got, like we spoke about before, one of our favourite things was that couple in the sewer at the end, and the whole thing at the end there was like, he's like, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to do this. Like, she was always taking the risk. She was going to New York.
Yeah.
She was happy to jump into that sewer.
Yeah.
And he's like, I need to change. I need to take this risk as well. So I think that was...
He's the one that gave the ticket as well. He's
He
like,
did.
Take my ticket.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was like a nice little underlying sort of thing at times.
Yeah, I in contrast to that, I guess the same thing. I thought one of the main themes was to believe in yourself. Yeah, so Ethan, for him to believe in himself, he's a good enough DJ. For Tariq to believe that he can manage Ethan, that he can do this, and for Ray and Shani to believe in themselves about what they could do. Yeah, which again is taking a risk because you believe in yourself. So yeah,
Took a risk by jumping on that stage at the end.
He did. He sure did. And yeah. Another thing I felt was about phones. There was this constant thing about phones. So there was like the two guys from the record shop, and we haven't really spoken about them too much.
I like the scene in the record store.
The record store?
The old guy,
old versus new.
The old versus new going on, yeah.
And like throughout the film, like he made a comment. He's like, "Why don't you live in the moment for 2 seconds?" When he's talking to people on their phones, because people are bumping into each other on their phones. The text messages keep. There were multiple times where it's like message failure.
Yeah.
So it's like saying, "Why don't you actually just talk to people rather than stay on your phones?"
He cracks it at that lady when she asked him to take a photo. It's like, why don't you just be here and live in the moment?
Exactly.
Kind of thing. He's just real much that old school way where he hates the new music, he hates the new technology. He's still stuck in what he loved as a young guy, and that's what everyone that was the best experience. I think like he's trying to lecture the guys on the bus, like the young rabbits that wanted to beat him up in the end. He's giving him a big lecture saying everything that's wrong with music these days and things like that. Yeah, he was very much the old school versus kind of the new way of technology and music.
And I thought that him as a character, felt like they did that well through him.
Yeah, they did.
Throughout.
When he started dancing, and that's when I started to be like, this isn't you.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's got this backstory.
Yeah.
It felt like they suddenly went completely away from what they built up as this guy.
Because I like that.
Yeah, because I saw him as some guy who liked, he was a rock music fan.
That's exactly what I thought.
He loved rock music. He went and saw live gigs of,
they did a good job of
he went and watched bands in the 70s and 80s, saying, how old he was.
I think it was 90s, but
that's that old.
I think he was pushing 40. Like, I think his character was pushing 40, so whatever that works out to be. But yeah, I feel like he was going to live gigs of bands, but then it turns out, he was ended up a DJ. I was like, oh, that's very different to what I thought how that was going.
And you're right, we didn't see it coming, but I also didn't believe it when it came. So it's kind of two ways to look at that.
I did like, though, that they kept him separate from the guy that he worked with the whole film until that end scene.
Yeah, I forgot about the guy he worked with.
And they hugged.
And then they hugged and he danced with him on the thing. So it was sort of like, I get that maybe...
Ties into that good happy ending.
The progression probably wasn't great, but at least like they kept him separate from him the whole time.
Yeah, true.
One of the... Life is too short and best spent partying with someone special. Does everyone in this film end up with someone special? I feel like most people in this film end up being back together with someone.
Yeah,
the record shop guy ends up getting back with his mate.
Yeah.
You've got
Ethan and Crystal get together.
Crystal and Ethan get together.
She slips in there, doesn't she?
She slips in there, and the third we got
the couple still.
The couple is
still spending the time together.
They're going to make long distance work. They're going to commit to that.
So most of the everyone
ends
ends up having at least someone that they can rely on.
Yeah.
Avillo's locked in his thing with the chopper.
Good chopper. Great. Keep him in there. You got the security guard there making sure they can't get out.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Alright, so what do we take away from this film? What were our thoughts? What do we think?
Again, you didn't like the drug tripping scene, but I thought the cinematography on that, the way they did it, moved from scene to scene, all the different kind of, the background colours and all those things like that, I thought that was really well done.
The big thing for me, I never cared enough for any of the characters to get what they wanted. It didn't really bother me that much. And I just, in general, I felt that the film itself was so forgettable that if we weren't doing this podcast and talking about it, I would have forgotten what happened within a week. Like if someone said to me in a couple of months, what happened in XOXO, I'm like, I saw it, but
I couldn't music festival,
it's a very forgettable film.
the first 5 minutes of this film, I thought I was going to have a brain aneurysm. I was like, there was so many quick, short cuts of like bang, 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 wasn't it? I was like, oh wow, I don't know how I'm going to get through this whole film. It was so hectic. I felt like this film, out of our films we've watched, has probably done a good job with representation of characters. Like, there's a good racial mix throughout this film. Like,
there was.
Because you've got Tariq, you've got the boyfriend-girlfriend couple, you've got Sarah Hyland, you've got... Like, I felt like it was a really good mix of different races throughout. So I thought they did that really well.
It wasn't just...
You could have just gone bang a whole white cast. And they didn't. So I thought that was good.
I definitely agree with that one.
So that was good. I feel like that this probably would have been better in a cinema just for the sound, for the music.
If you do enjoy that kind of music,
if you enjoy this movie, it would be great in a cinema.
I think
if I really paid $20 to go and see it, I'd be pretty disappointed. You know, but I wouldn't even consider paying $20 to go and see it if I knew.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is kind of this is a Netflix. Just jump on the couch and there's no real specific time and that you need to watch it. Just watch it whenever. But for guys who go to festivals and enjoy that,
you like EDM, then
it would have been a good experience if you do like this kind of thing.
Or if you are Alex H, then you would watch it if it was the last night of the
Alex
world.
H, if you are listening to this podcast, do send us through an email because you are famous.
And Alex, can you also 5 stars?
That would be nice.
And subscribe.
And we'd love to send you back a list of movies you should watch instead.
So, when did you jump on IMDb? When did you get on to check anyone out?
I jumped on when Chopper comes on because I know him as Secret Service Agent Mike Ritter in Designated Survivor. And I love him. He's one of my favourite characters in Designated Survivor, which made it hate it so much that he was a bad guy in this. So
stinker in this.
But he's so good in Designated Survivor. So I jumped on when he came on to see what else he'd done because I don't even know him in Designated Survivor, and he just kind of recently just done a few bit parts in TV shows kind of thing. Nothing really important, but yeah, I wanted to see old Mike Ritter.
Yep.
For me, it was Shani. Shani looked very familiar. Hayley Kiyoko. And she was from Insidious Chapter 3, playing Maggie. Which I'd seen that. I saw it about 6 months ago. So I'm a big horror fan. So
I jumped on at the start with Ethan's mum. She really reminded me of the girl from Weeds.
Was she in the credits? She was in it for 4 seconds.
She reminded me of the chick from Weeds. And I was like, it wasn't her. So I'm doing well with this game lately. And then I was like, okay, IMDb, I give up. So I've gone with the Shazam on this one. I was like, there were a couple of songs. So it took a while until there was a song in this that I recognised. So Peanut Butter Jelly came on, which was a pretty big hit for a while.
Even I'd heard that one.
Heard that one, yeah. And then there were 2 more songs that I Shazammed, and I was like, I know that one. So another one was by Galantis, which is the same people that did the Peanut Butter Jelly song.
Okay.
And then there was another one by Hayden James. So there were 3 songs in this whole film that I knew, So yeah, I used Shazam.
2 more than me, Jesse.
Yeah, I feel pretty hip.
Just said hip.
I did. I'm hip.
Wow.
I'm hip. Cool hip Jim. I am cool.
Cool.
You get another
Laid back Jim or Cool Hip Jim?
Cool hip Jim. Shout out. So
another American Pie reference. I love it. We can always fit one in there.
I reckon that's 4 American Pie references.
So, have you guys got any questions about this film?
I do because
I thought you would.
I need an answer because it just annoyed me when Shani drops her ticket. And why did they go back for it? Because Ray didn't have a ticket. They were charging the gate with everyone to try and sneak through. Why did she need her ticket? They were charging the gate to sneak through.
I was thinking that too.
I don't understand why she needs to go back because
Everyone was just
everyone was charging because they didn't have tickets and her boyfriend didn't have one, so it wouldn't have mattered if she had a ticket or not. And it just made no sense for them to go back for Shani's ticket. It annoyed me so much.
Yep.
They didn't need to do it.
I agree.
The point was though, she could still have gotten in with her ticket, right? They'd stopped selling tickets. They hadn't stopped letting people in.
Yeah.
So she could have got in.
But she wouldn't have.
Yeah, she wouldn't have gone.
Right. But it just made no sense for them to go back.
That confused the hell out of me when it happened as well. Because I'm like, everyone else is going in, just go in.
Yeah.
Here's your chance.
But
But I guess obviously they wanted to put him in the sewer. So.
Yeah.
A couple of things that popped up on screen. So there was that eat, sleep, rave, repeat. And I was like,
it's just cringe.
Yeah.
And the other one was plur. PLUR, which was peace, love, unity, and respect. And that popped up on the screen. I'm like, what has that got to do with anything in the film? Anything, nothing. Didn't have any, the whole film had nothing to do with anything. That really annoyed me. Really annoyed me. And and I think I spoke about it before, but the phone messages and the time counting down, to me, that was just like, we're trying to be cool. We're trying to be hip. We're trying to be current. Yeah.
Hip again.
And especially when he was going, Tariq was going through that drug thing and it
changed to
dissolved.
change to random symbols and stuff because he had no idea what was going on.
Emojis are so 2015, gross.
This was 2016.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's 2015, so it's such a year out of date.
Come on, Christopher Louie.
All right, is that?
Yep.
Yeah,
we're cooked. All right, let's
rate it.
Let's give it a rating. MJ, give us your thoughts.
Look, it's a tribute to the EDM music festival rave scene, which is just not something that I could relate to. With that said, whilst the first hour was extremely forgettable, it eventually warmed into itself and it was generally harmless and delivered a couple of nice payoffs. Nothing special, but 2 stars.
Okay.
Look, yeah, I found myself liking a lot of the main characters, and I thought the last probably 20 minutes or so of the movie was pretty good, and it ended well with that climatic festival scene. However, it really wasn't enough to save the rest of the film from being pretty rubbish. So I gave it 1.5 out of 5.
MJ used the word harmless.
It was harmless.
It wasn't. It's telling you doing drugs is okay. Like I like a good pinger, and I'm joking, like absolute joke. But like this movie this movie can cause harm.
No, but I sit there and think that I sat there for an hour and a half and it didn't offend me like another film might have offended me.
Anyone that goes,
easy to watch.
Yeah. Anyone that goes to one of these these music festivals is not going to be looking at it as deeply as we have.
Yes.
They're just going to sit there and go, oh, listen to that banger, boom, boom, boom.
Which is probably why I reckon Alex H might actually listen to this podcast, because he's like, there's a podcast on my favourite movie ever.
Yeah,
we might be the only ones podcasting.
Shout out to you, buddy.
This guy is going to bring shout us out. So,
what'd you give it, Jesse?
1.5.
1.5.
This has got to be this close to rubbish. Yeah. So I like Sarah Hyland. I like her, but no, sorry.
Did you like her in this though?
Not really, actually.
She was
she did nothing. And that the one scene where I thought she had that chance to shut that guy down in that fluoro neon sort of scene.
Should have slapped him.
The director, that's more the director's fault. He literally kept going back to these cuts of her legs. It was literally cut of her leg, show us her leg, and that was it. And I was like, this is where you let her shine and show that she can act, and didn't let her do it. So 1.5 out of 5 for me. What does that give us?
That gives us an average of 1.67 out of 5.
Wow.
Which puts us towards the lower end of the movies.
Lower end of the
movies so
movies.
far.
I think it's fair to say, what's this, hour 11?
It's number 11.
Netflix didn't have a great start.
Nah.
I hope they pick up.
Yeah.
I really do. I hope I think
we're doing
I'm
this.
sure it will.
You know,
I'm sure it will,
posthumously.
yeah.
So obviously, a lot of films have been out for a while that we're coming up to that we haven't watched yet. But
so.
It'll get better.
no teetering on.
As usual, we really need your help on social media. Share us with your friends. Give us a shout out. Share us. Retweet us. Like our Instagram posts. We are at Flix Forum on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. As usual, we've got a question up online this week, which my co-hosts.
I'm feeling a good one this week.
I enjoyed this. This is my favourite part.
This was hard because
Just because I know how much I hated this movie, I feel
it's hard to come up with a question about a film. So
It'd be great.
Really simple, basic one this week. Do taking risks always pay off? Because there are a few characters in this film that took risks. Did they pay off in the end?
Really ambiguous.
Very ambiguous, and I don't know whether our characters in the end actually their risks.
But I want to hear what the listeners.
I do too.
You know what? This doesn't have to be about the movie
I
or the
want to
rave
hear
scene.
what old mate thinks about that.
Well, he took a risk by watching it in the first place because he was expecting a lot of sex and didn't get it.
Yeah, which will be disappointing for him, I would assume.
Initially, it was.
Because, you could, if you want to talk about Tariq, did his risks pay off? I don't know. You could talk about your life. You could talk about whatever you want. But
that's a good question, Jesse. Good
leave
question.
it very open for this one. So, also, please do subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, we do have a subscribe button. Hit that little subscribe tick. Get us on board.
And then you'll know every time we release an episode. You don't have to wait anymore.
Exactly. Next week is our next episode. And we are going to be looking at the 2016 sci-fi science fiction film ARQ. Directed by Tony Elliott, starring Robbie Amell, Rachel Taylor, who is Australian, Sean Benson, Gray Powell, Jacob Nahum, and Adam Butcher. So please try and get on board, watch this film beforehand. This is actually one that I have seen before.
Ooh.
It's taken a while.
Watch it again, though, yeah?
I am definitely going to watch it again.
Get on this one and watch it. And
we're going to have a good chat about this one. I think this might be our first sci-fi too, so bit of a different genre to look at. we'll see how we go. I feel like we may have different opinions on this film.
Oh, it's going to be a good discussion next week then.
It will be good. So please check out that film. As usual, I'd like to thank my co-hosts, MJ, Heater. Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
been a good chat, boys.
It has been good.
I was good today.
And we will see you next week.
All right.
See ya.
See you, mate.